Hi, everybody. It's episode 364 of PodQuest.
Hey!
It's Wednesday, August 4th, 2021. I am Chris. With me is Drootin.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Hi, I'm here.
How you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Just forgetting that I didn't Instagram out what game I was playing tonight, so I'm doing that right now. But I'm doing alright.
Wow. Way to not be 100% invested in recording.
I'm 110% invested. It's just I have to go find the old picture of Monster Hunter Stories 2 that I used last time and just pull that up and post it.
Actually, how's that USB thing that you got working?
The Shadowcast?
Yes,
it works. It works really well, but it has to be in performance mode. If it's in like resolution mode or the games look a little bit dull because it's not giving me the best graphical that it could be. I can't play Mario Golf in high power resolution mode. It has to be in performance because of those time button presses. But Monster Hunter Stories, I can play in a little bit more of it's a little bit more loosey goosey with the timing of things that I could play in a better resolution.
Oh, right, because this thing is actually running through your PC, so it's showing you the gameplay on your screen.
Yeah.
Right, I forgot about that. You should keep your eyes on the Elgatos and grab one when they go on sale, because they go on pretty good sales a couple times a year.
I was looking at them. There's some for 150. There's some for $60, some for 150. I bought this thing for about $50. So
the 150 ones are the ones you want, and I see them go on sale for closer to 100, probably 2 or 3 times a year. Because usually I want to say the 150 ones are the ones that are usually 1080 60.
Yeah, that's the HD.
Yeah, so that would let you route it to the PC and your actual TV so that you can play things in a native console mode, but then still have them look good on stream and have all the control and everything. Be able to just look at your PC and control it rather than having your game also on the PC and making it a little weird.
Yeah.
But at least you have something to use right now. It's not like you need something else.
It does its purpose. And so I am looking into better capture cards. But for now, it does what it needs to do, and I'm happy with it. And it's I want to try setting up my PS5 onto there, but I don't want to play games and that. I want to get a better capture card for the PS5. So when I do stream PS5 games, I'm still using the native PlayStation streaming tech.
And being able to do it through an Elgato or some sort of capture card would definitely give you a little bit more control. You wouldn't get those weird blackouts if you're playing a story game.
Yeah.
Where it's we're gonna just show you this guy sleeping for a few minutes because we can't show you what's on the screen.
Yeah. Because that happened when I was playing Final Fantasy VII Yuffie.
Come on, give us the whole name.
It's Final Fantasy VII. It's Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. No, Intermission. I don't know.
Exactly.
Fuck that. It's Intermission. It's Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission.
It is. I wanted to see how many tries it would take because that is the dumbest thing in the world.
But at the very end, pretty much the scene where they're walking to Calm, it paused the stream. It just had a blue screen and it had the audio. It had my audio, but it didn't have the game's audio and video.
Oh yeah, see that's stupid. Yeah, that's the biggest downfall of the PlayStation and I assume the Xbox streaming is it does shit like that. And it's if you had a capture card, you would just be showing all this stuff. So maybe those consoles should just stop. Well, I guess it's the developers that are plugging in when it's happening, but if people really want to stream that stuff and they get annoyed enough, they're just going to buy capture cards and just circumvent this anyway. So why waste your time?
Look, the thing is, though, I bet Square would come at me harder if I didn't have those scenes hidden. Because they already said that I need to remove the video or the audio from both of those streams because of the music of that game. So, they're assholes. You know that.
Well, so that's not how it works, though. They're not coming after you. They literally have an algorithm that runs looking for stuff. They don't have somebody actually on YouTube looking for keywords or anything like that.
Yeah, I know.
So
the point still remains they could not.
Oh
they could
yeah, no.
let people do it.
I mean, there are people that are getting banned from Twitter for DMCA stuff right now for, like, clips they shared of something from 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That, like, they don't even realize this is a tweet they had because they have 13,000 tweets.
Yeah. I was gaming with Matt and Bennett last week playing Division, and they started singing a Stained song. And Matt gets like a line in, and he's like, "Can I continue?" Or I'm like, "Dude, do you really think Stained is gonna DMCA us? Really?"
I mean, their record company might.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say they might not, but their record label will.
Who owns the rights to Stain's Outside? Because I assume that's what they were singing.
It was. It absolutely was. And here's the thing: that song isn't old enough to be fair use.
Nope.
I could have swore that song would be old enough to be fair use.
No, fair use is not 20 years.
I thought it was.
Or public domain.
Or public
fair
domain.
Fair use is different. Fair use is like a thing that has to be part of the license up front. And like most things that go onto YouTube are considered fair use. Where like as long as you're not monetizing it, you're fine.
Yeah. I meant public domain, and
no, public domain's like 86 years or something weird like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was 60, but then Disney was like, "No, we want to keep all of our unused properties." So they went into a case with the FAA.
Yeah, and Outside by Stained is only 20 years old, give or take. Late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000 for sure.
I couldn't remember because it was. I mean, I know it was the live version with Fred Durst before he went on Undercover Boss.
Wait, Fred Durst was on Undercover Boss?
Oh, have you not seen the pictures of Fred Durst from like the last couple of weeks?
I mean, I think one of you guys shared it.
Yeah, like he looks like he went on, like he's getting ready to go on Undercover Boss for like some shitty theme restaurants he owns.
And, I mean, he is probably a partner in Kid Rock's restaurant.
I mean, it's possible.
You want to know what Kid Rock's restaurant is called? Drootin, you'll get to go here because it's in Nashville.
I know. I was going to say, I fucking have seen it when looking, because it's in that strip of restaurants and bars that have music all night. It's like Kid Rock's something honky tonk or something.
That sounds about right.
Kid Rock's big ass honky tonk rock and roll steakhouse.
Big ass, yeah.
I just sent you guys what Fred Durst looks like right now.
Oh yeah, he looks like he looks like a douche.
And like, I mean, he always has. But like, I saw a picture specifically of him with that haircut and facial hair and like button-up shirt, where he also had sunglasses on, and like it really did. It either looked like he was. I've heard a few people make the mention of it. Looks like he saw the Beastie Boys video for Sabotage a few too many times.
Mm-hmm.
Or like he's going on Undercover Boss, because that's sort of the shitty disguises they always gave people on that show.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's the outline. I missed it. So before we get started, have you guys at all seen the controller option for Halo Infinite?
No. Was that a thing?
So this past weekend was the multiplayer test, and it wasn't even multiplayer. It was the multiplayer modes, but only with bots. You weren't actually playing against other people, to my understanding.
They did eventually put in matchmaking.
Okay, they did add it in?
Giant Bomb. Yeah. It seemed like it was a broken fucking mess at times, though.
But apparently the gameplay is actually real good right now. So Tim Geddes at Kinda Funny posted a video on Twitter of him playing it on PC with a mouse and controller at the same time.
Okay.
So he had, instead of using WASD, he was using the controller to run around, like for movement, and then the mouse for aiming.
Okay.
And like
Sure.
that kind of seems perfect to me.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I feel like you could do that with any game as long as you have a keyboard and a mouse.
No, most games, like you have the option of controller or mouse and keyboard.
Weird. That's
it's kind of like how GoldenEye on N64 was, I believe, the only game that lets you play with two different controllers for one player.
Yeah.
So this way you could have a dual analog experience.
Well, I think you could do it in Perfect Dark as well.
You know what, that would make sense. But like there weren't many other games that let you do anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the fact that like that game has a setting where you can have a controller and a mouse and keyboard like all set up at the same time and like map everything individually is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like you have not enough access to buttons, although I guess if you have like one of those mice with like 12 buttons on the side.
Yeah, I mean, like for Halo or something like that, that would be the one thing, is at least having a button on the side of your mouse for jumping. But otherwise, you would have the analog stick plus the trigger and bumper on the left. So that, that could be like your melee and grenade or something like that. Mm-hmm. You have your left and right clicks, which would both be like shooting and then something else. You'd have your mouse wheel, which is the click in on the mouse wheel is usually something. So like I think you'd probably hit most of the buttons on the controller. It, like you said, if you have one of the mice that has like the extra buttons along the side. But I don't think you need that many.
I mean, I'm trying to think. You're probably not missing really any, even if you don't have all those extra buttons, because if they're using the control stick, and people are ridiculous the way they hold controllers, you could use the control stick with your thumb, you can use your index finger for the D-pad, and you could use your middle finger for the top buttons. That covers pretty much everything else if the D-pad didn't do anything in the main game. And so you would just move the face buttons over to the D-pad, and you would move the trigger buttons to your mouse.
Rich, this is a legitimate question for you. Why would you need to use a different finger for the D-pad?
Because you need to keep moving with the thumb. That's why you would do this.
Here's a better question. How are you going to wrap your index finger over your thumb to get to the D-pad on the Xbox controller?
No, Richie can do that from all of his days of Monster Hunter. He's explained the weird ways he's had to grip controllers for that.
Wait, the Xbox controller, the D-pad, the control stick's up top?
Yeah, dog.
Oh, well then you just do the other way. You use your thumb for the D-pad and use your finger for the control stick.
That seems awful.
But like...
agreed.
I'm like...
But think about it this way, like, if you were playing with just controller, like, nobody, like moves their whole hand down to keep the analog stick moved while they hit, like, one of the D-pad buttons. You're just moving your hand down and tapping the whatever D-pad direction. Cause generally, D-pad's gonna, like, use an item or change your weapon or something like that to, like, the quick slots.
I just sent you guys a picture of what I was talking about. People play games like that. Like,
I know. People, the claw grip for Halo, especially, has long been a thing.
Yeah, like, I did the claw grip for, not all the time, but, like, it really helped in Monster Hunter when it was on the 3DS. Like, because the camera was connected to the D-pad and the movement was the stick, you would have to use your index finger to move, right? Yeah, that's how the 3DS, the stick was at the bottom. But, like, it was just... It works. People play like that. And so I forgot that the Xbox controller, the stick was up top and not below.
Yeah, that wouldn't be, like, holding it like that for the Xbox controller in particular would be a bad time, because I feel like your index finger does not give you the same finesse as your thumb does for the control stick. Like, I would never hold a PlayStation controller like that for any game, but, like, at least at that point, like, you're generally just tapping the D-pad button, so it doesn't make that big of a deal, whereas your thumb is doing the, like, minute stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Because now I'm holding, because I have my day one Xbox One controller at my desk, and I'm just trying to see how to make that comfortable. Because, like, I don't understand why you would, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm holding an Xbox controller in my mouse right now, and, like, I could definitely play a game like this.
I mean, yeah, I could, but I don't know. Why not just then use the controller?
Well, so it's specifically for a first-person shooter where people like the mouse control for shooting and aiming. But frankly, like, WASD is not a better way to move.
No, it's not. WASD
in fact, like, it's theoretically a worse way to move because you have fewer directions you can move in.
You know what we need? We just need joysticks again. Like, why the fuck are there...
They still make them.
Like, I just buy a fucking joystick.
I mean, you can buy, like dual joystick, like, flight sim stuff that you could definitely use for other games.
I mean, as long as both joysticks have 6 buttons on them, you're fine. And you've got four fingers and you have 5 fingers, but you have 4 fingers and a thumb on each hand. So, like, you associate each finger with a button or 2. Yeah, like, just get 2 joysticks. Don't be stupid.
That sounds even worse.
I mean, it sounds expensive, if nothing else. But look, it's not like I'm ever going to play Halo on a PC, but, like, if I were to ever play it on PC, I would definitely try it like that just to see what it was like.
You should be able to do it on the Xbox too.
Yeah, I don't have a wireless keyboard.
You don't need
And-
the keyboard.
I don't have a wireless mouse either.
All right, well, buy a wireless mouse.
Why the fuck would I do that?
Why not?
What do I need a wireless mouse for?
Just get
Why
a
not?
USB extender and just extend it all the way across your living room.
I mean, that would at least be cheaper than a wireless mouse.
I mean, yeah, but
Office
I have
Depot,
no use for a wireless mouse.
Office Depot has a throttle and stick simulation joystick set up for $127.
Wait, let's roll back for a second. Office Depot still, they're still around?
That's what, according to Google, I'm looking up PC joystick. So what I wrote, I made sure to write PC joystick because I'm not just writing joystick. But let's
How did you spell joystick?
JOY.
No,
STICK.
yeah, that's not how you spell joystick.
It's
I mean, it's a fine way to spell it. You gotta spell it with a Q though, like all the fancy things do.
no. Let's just move on. This conversation's making me mad.
All right, what else is on the agenda, Richard?
On the agenda, we're gonna talk, Cobb, you watched a little bit more Gundam. I made it through season 1 of Demon Slayer. Apparently there's going to be some form of PS5 SSD expansion. Drootin, you played the Acsent. I played more Monster Hunter Stories. I also did play Returnal and not just buy it.
Okay.
Cobb, you played some more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And then we're going to talk about our book club of The Message in Life After.
These are all truths. So yeah, for Gundam, this is real quick. I'm a little more than halfway through Turn-A-Gundam. That's a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely not a Gundam show. Like, it's so weird and un-actiony, but like really, really good. And
Yeah.
it's got good, memorable characters. Like, I can actually remember things about specific episodes because it's so well done.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Gundam 00 that I just watched, like I can remember some of the goofy names, like Lachon Stratus, and the dude whose last name was Smirnov, Sergei Smirnov. That's what Sergei fucking Smirnov. That was his name. But like I don't remember any specific episodes because that show, while it was fun to watch, it was super disjointed.
Yeah.
This one is very like it's easy to follow. There's just not much action in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's like multiple episodes in a row where like nothing really happens, like as far as like big robots fighting. But like instead, you'll get an episode where Laurent will use the Turn-A-Gundam to like do laundry, which is just hilarious. So in one of the more recent episodes, one of the main female characters, who is actually the Queen of the Moon, who has parent swapped with one of the other characters who looks identical to her, that is an Earthborn person, gets tricked into working for a field hospital. And because she has no medical experience, she basically does laundry and like busy work. So they give her a giant wagon full of dirty sheets to wash.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing them like one at a time in the river because this is still very like turn of the century, even though they have giant robots and shit. And Laurent sees it and he's just like not okay with the queen doing that. So like he goes over and uses the Gundam to like scoop out like a big section of dirt next to the river so that like the water will like flow like into that. And then he takes the wagon, dumps the whole thing into the little like tidal pool he just made, which also included some soap. And then he puts the Gundam's arm in there and just starts spinning it in one direction and then starts spinning it in the other direction super fast.
That's stupid.
And then like
remember when people had a fit because they baked cakes in bleach? And now you're talking about the awesomeness of doing laundry in Gundam?
But yeah, and so he finishes doing that part of it, and then he literally like uses the Gundam and like ties like clothesline strings to it and makes it a clothesline hanging thing.
That's honestly exactly what I had expected.
And this is like the fourth time that they have used the Gundam to hang clothing or to be a bridge. In one episode, the bridge was broken. So you remember in Power Rangers, the movie, when the train goes out, so Tommy flies the Falcon Zord in and like levels it against the train so that the stuff can go over it.
Yeah.
So they basically do that, but with the Gundam. Like he just kind of like puts the Gundam like with its arms like in a T pose and like lowers the head down. And then they put some pieces of wood across his back to flatten it. And then they drive all their things across him.
Okay.
Like it's so stupid, but so good.
It works. It makes sense. Kind of. Maybe. Sort of.
Yeah, it's just this show has so much kind of mystery going on. And then just so little normal, like, fighting and stuff that you see in a lot of the other Gundam shows. Because even though, like, those shows are always about, like, war is bad, but this one is in, like, such a different direction where, like, I don't know that. I'm pretty sure Loran hasn't killed anybody yet. Like, he's barely actually even attacked other mobile suits. He'll generally, like, pull out the beam saber and, like, cut an arm off, and they'll be like, oh shit, you can do that, and run away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really odd how just different this show is in like, a lot of really good ways.
That's good. It makes it more of an interesting kind of mech series.
Especially after, like, I enjoyed Double O, but after going from that, where it was very convoluted and there were just so many moving parts and nothing especially memorable, to, like, go back to this that was really only 8 or 9 years prior, and have it be just such a different take on it. And, like, I've seen a decent chunk of Gundams between, like, the original and the mid-2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, most of them, like, they're not like Dragon Ball or Naruto levels of action-y, but, like, you know, usually every other episode there's some sort of conflict that happens, if not more. And this one's just like, oh no, we're gonna have a fucking party on this episode. Like, why not? We're gonna help an old lady, like, harvest some fields for most of it. Though the last episode I watched did involve a nuke going off, and the moon people knew what that meant, but, like, the earth people had no fucking idea. Mm-hmm. So, like, all the earth soldiers are, like, in their, like, mobile suits that they dug up from underground, and they're just like, what? It's a bomb. We'll be okay. We're in these big metal suits. And Laurent's just like, no, this is a nuke. It's going to murder all of us. We have to run. Okay. And he's, like, the Gundam is just, like, slightly bigger than some of the mobile suits, and he's just, like, he just grabs one and just runs with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird. Honestly, that's another thing that's kind of weird. So, the Moon Race, they came down with their own mobile suits that, like, they have made. And they're all fucking cool looking, but, like, also weird and not what you'd expect from mobile suits. The Earth people have literally just been finding theirs buried under mountains. Like, they just kind of, like, after they found the Gundam, they just kind of keep digging into different mountains and finding different types of mobile suits buried under there. And, like, they're all still in working order. Like, they haven't rusted or broken or anything. And the only thing that they have given to why that is things have nanotechnology on their outsides that protect them from decaying and will repair them when they're damaged. But only the outsides, not the insides. Like, if something mechanical breaks, it's broken. But, like, if it gets dented or, like, if something gets, like, chipped off, like, the nanobots will fix it.
Okay.
It's weird. But other than that, I also, because I've been watching so much Gundam, I bought Gundam models and put them together.
Nice. Nice. What level? What level Gundam model are you? Level 3?
Well, so first off, it's high grade, real grade, master grade, and perfect grade.
No, it's level 1 through 6 like it was in the early 2000s in those commercials, okay?
Not anymore. No, it's gotten wild. I was actually, earlier today, I actually looked at, like, the Wikipedia for it, and I didn't realize how wild it had gotten. Because I actually, in my closet, I had a box of models, like they were all broken and shit, from, like, 2000. But in that box, there was also an unopened Death Scythe Hell from Endless Waltz, the Gundam Wing movie. Yeah. That, like, legitimately, like, still in the box, still shrink wrapped and everything. That it also says it's a high grade, which are what the two I bought was. But from what I read, like, high grade 20 years ago, very different than high grade now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, high grade are the 1/144th scale, so they're, like, the smaller ones are, like, more action figure sized.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then master grade and perfect grade are, I believe, the bigger ones. And then real grade are also this size, but super realistic, like, may have metal parts and stuff like that. I might be getting some of those confused, but it's basically, like, one of them, like, the grades are basically the size of them and how detailed they are and how many, like, movable parts are basically on them. But, like, even these, like, the two that I bought were both under $20. And, like, they're the small ones. Like, I got the RX-78, which is the original Gundam, and Wing Zero from Gundam Wing. And, like, they're incredibly detailed. Like, I remember, like, back in the day, like, you would have, like, a whole sheet of stickers that you'd have to try and put on these little fucking things, and it was awful.
Yeah.
Like, both of these had, like, the RX-78 only had one sticker, and it was for the eyes. Wing Zero had more, but, like, not so many that it was obnoxious, and a lot of them were tiny that I was just able to use tweezers to kind of, like, push onto the place they went.
Yeah.
But, like, everything moves on them. Like, their hips kind of move back and forth, their heads, their arms move in multiple positions, their legs move in multiple positions. Like, they're very articulate and detailed.
Mm-hmm.
in a way like I didn't expect like $20 thing to be.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked into them, but that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and like they come with a bunch of extra parts so you can, like change out like what weapons they have or like what hands they have, like whether it's an open or closed fist. The Wing Zero turns into like the bird plane thing. So it came with like different parts if you were going to have it be that instead of the actual mobile suit form.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool though.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Keeping with the anime though, how was Demon Slayer's first season for you, Rich?
It was fine. I honestly, like, I saw a lot of people out there saying, like, it's amazing, it's the greatest. I'm like, I think it's fine. It's a good anime. It's not, like, the best anime I've ever watched. It is by far the best anime I've ever watched. But, like, it's good. I hate, like, what's his name? Friggin' blonde-haired dude. Like...
Yeah, no, he is not great. Even when he has, like, his cool moments, he's not great.
Yeah, I could do without him 100%. If he weren't in the show, probably would have enjoyed it more. But I have a headache every time he fucking talks. 'Cause he doesn't talk. He yells. Non-fucking stop.
Were you watching this dubbed or subbed?
I was watching it subbed. Or no, dubbed. I was watching it dubbed. Like,
so I don't remember him yelling that much.
He yells all the time.
Like, the guy that wears the pig head yells all the time.
Yeah, but he's actually cool, and his yell isn't annoying. Whereas, what's his name? I can't even remember his name.
I don't know his name either.
Like Ionosuke, I think, or something like that.
No, Inosuke is the guy that wears the pig head and has the two swords.
I can't, Zet, I can't remember. Probably, it's something with a Z then, I think. But like,
actually, I think you're right. I don't know what it actually is, though.
But, like, he's so annoying. And everything, like, the first 2 episodes you see him in, he's just yelling. Like, oh my god, I'm so scared, wah, wah, yelling the entire time, and then he does something cool. And then he just fucking yells the rest of the time again. And it's the same with, like, the, part of the Forest Arc. Like, he wasn't really in the Forest Arc much.
Thankfully.
But, like, thankfully. Like, he had a cool part in it, and he wasn't as annoying. But then, in the post-Forest Arc, and the recovery arc, again, he's just loud and annoying. Like, Inosuke's loud, but he's cool loud. He's just like fucking. If it weren't for him, I probably would have enjoyed it more. Like,
see, I mean, he did not affect my enjoyment of it at all. I didn't care for him.
He makes me not want to watch. He literally, like, anytime he was on screen, I was just like, I want to just fast forward this. Like, hey, if you're gonna keep being this annoying, I don't want to hear it.
I wonder if you would have liked it better subbed. I wonder if it's just better done in Japanese.
Maybe it could have just been the voicing. Like,
I mean, that can do it sometimes. Like, just the way somebody decides to portray the character is just not.
But like, he was also animated in that over the top. Like, I feel like I wouldn't have. He's very much Minate from My Hero. Like, he's kind of annoying and pervy at the same time, and I don't like him. And, like, he's supposed to be this badass, but I don't like him.
But he's not a badass at all.
But he kind of is. Only when he blacks the fuck out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's not badass. That's just a weird character quirk. Like, badass would be, like, all of the Hashira are badass. Because they're mostly unassuming, and then shit goes down, and they just destroy everybody.
Like, and this doesn't say much, because all of the main characters weren't introduced till, like, the last 4 or 5 episodes of the series.
Yeah, it's very weird.
They introduced better and more compelling characters in the last 5 episodes of the anime, of the first season, than they did throughout the rest of the season. Like, there were some cool characters, but, like, they held up, like, I want to learn more about, like, the Bug girls.
Yeah, I
think their backstories. And it's just, for me, like, I see all these people talking great about it, and I'm like, I'll give it a shot, and I watch it, I'm like, this is good. This is fine. Like, there's better, and honestly, My Hero is a much better anime.
Oh, it is.
Than Demon Slayer.
But I think, so Demon Slayer does a lot of things that you just don't like. Deku tends to always be the one, like, he always pulls through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like when there's a fight or something like that, like, he somehow wins or just comes out, like, even if it's just a moral victory, he comes out with the moral victory.
Yeah.
But, like, even that, like, he still at least has to struggle a little bit. They're not just, like, giving him, like, power upgrades for the sake of power upgrades, like they do in, like, Dragon Ball or Bleach. But, like, Tanjiro is... He gets skilled, but, like, he starts out pretty much useless. And even in, like, some of the early encounters, like, other than having, like, a strong sense of smell, he's not very good. And they at least, like, keep that going through it. Like, by the time when that forest arc happens, like, if it wasn't for Nezuko, they would have both died because, like, when the spider thing had them both trapped.
Yeah. But, like, I honestly disagree with that. Like, after he kills something that 15 others of his co-trainees couldn't kill in the trials. Like, it took him, 2 years to train up in order to go to the trials. But the first or second demon he fights there is like an S-class demon, like one of the strongest kinds of demons there could be for somebody of his caliber, and kills it in 2 hits.
But even he thought that was a fluke. Like, it's not like he did that out of skill or anything like that. It was really just like he kind of pushed himself in a way. But like, he doesn't have, like, he doesn't end up doing that throughout the whole thing. Like, he struggles with every fight and frankly has to get saved in a bunch of them, including in the movie. Like, he does not get to fight the big bad in the movie because he's not good enough.
Well, yeah, but like, I don't know. Compare it to Naruto though. Then, like, Naruto, the Sasuke and a barrel arc, they all somehow managed to win when they weren't good enough to win, and all had to be saved the same way as Tanjiro was saved. Like,
yeah, but they also gave them all, like, weird little, like Choji won on his own by, like, a fluke.
Well, no, Choji didn't win on his own by a fluke. He ate something that was supposed to kill him. He should have been dead.
Right, that's how he got through it. Yeah. But also, like, they were children. They were 11 years old. Like, Tanjiro was supposed to be, like, 17. And like, trained in the woods, like, with, like, deadly traps for 2 years.
Naruto, they've trained to be ninjas their entire fucking lives.
Dude, we have seen that training. After the war, like, they did not train all that hard. They just had to learn how to make clones. That's why Genin missions are just, hey, go get this dog back for me.
Yeah, but I'm just, like, to me, like, what you're saying, like, I get what you're saying, but I don't fully agree with it. Like, I don't think, like, his struggles are that big of a deal because we've seen it in other mediums and other anime, and, like, that's not to take away from his struggles and the fact that he's maybe not the most powerful, but, like, he has been the leading force and the front force of stopping everything that they've stopped so far.
Yeah, but nothing that they've stopped. So, like, they show you, like, the power gaps and things. Like, he is good, and as thing goes, like, they show him get actual skill. Like, he has actual progression in his skill versus just things are going bad and he gets a random power up the way a lot of shonens do.
He killed a former lower 6. The drum guy is a former lower 6.
Yeah, but I mean, look at like Bleach. Like, the Espada that weren't Espada anymore weren't necessarily as strong.
Yeah, they weren't.
Like,
as
he was
strong.
a former for a reason. I'm not saying he's not powerful. I'm just saying compared to other characters, like, he is not the one, like, he's not like the Naruto or the Ichigo where, like, every time there's a big bad, they're throwing a power up at him to make him strong enough to beat them. They're bringing other people in when he can't beat them and letting the more powerful character beat them.
But they literally did that with the fight in the forest arc. He learned how to control fire. And if it wasn't for the monster or for the demon cutting his own head off, Tanjiro would have won.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He didn't, and then he was completely tapped out after that.
And then you look
at the
demon
demon wasn't.
Like, you look at Naruto, where, like, he almost took out like, him and Sasuke were head to head, and Naruto, it took everything out of Naruto just to be able to scratch his headband, and he had to be saved by Kakashi. Like, it's, to me, like, I'm like, they gave him, they're making him stronger. They're giving him those extra powers. I don't see it as, like, he's not been the strongest the whole time. Like, no one ever is. Ichigo got stronger throughout the series. Throughout the 350 episodes, he wasn't the most powerful every time. He had to train, and there were times he trained. Yes, they did a hyperbolic time chamber to get him trained up enough to be able to beat Aizen, but he still had to train for quite a while in order to be able to do that, and he still wasn't strong enough to beat Aizen. He beat Aizen because of a spell that was put on him from Clog and Shoot, or from Clogs and Hat. What's his name?
Uehara.
Uehara, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still, like, most shonen do that thing where a hero will just, they will have a way to learn something to be more powerful. And other than that forest fight, that is not what they do with him on any of the other fights. Like, he struggles and he learns and then he overcomes it, that's just not a common thing in shonen. Like, yes, like, they try to make you think that there's a struggle, but in reality, it's just like, oh yeah, no, you just have to do this thing and then power up. And, like, you're going to be way more powerful after this because you're just going to go into this time, like you said, like time chamber-esque thing. But look, I understand your complaints, especially about the kid with the orange hair. Like, I don't like him either, but I also think this show suffers from it being seasonal. Like, the manga's already over. I don't know why they don't just do it like they do every other, like, shonen. Because it's one thing, like Black Clover it's still running, and they ended the anime because it caught up, and it just didn't make sense to, like, keep making episodes that were just going to be filler for years.
Yeah.
But, like, this show, like, Demon Slayer's manga ended, like, a few months after I think the season finished. So, like, there was plenty of room for them to just make the show.
Yeah.
And instead it's like, no, we're just going to do seasons. And then COVID happened and it's like, okay, well, this season got delayed by an extra year. Mm-hmm. Whoops.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like if you could have just gone from, like, the first, because think about it, like, the first, like, 30 episodes of most long shows, like, they have their good moments, but, like, the story doesn't really pick up yet. Like, the actual story usually doesn't get started till between, like, episodes 20 and 30. Mm-hmm. It's usually, like, 20 episodes of, like, introducing the characters and what they can do and how they can do it. And
but that's the problem with this show is it was 20 episodes of the main cast and then 6 episodes of the better characters that they didn't introduce in the first 20 episodes.
But, like, most of those characters are like the captains in Bleach. Like, they're not always going to be around.
Yeah. But, like, one of based on what was said at the end of the first season, the Fire Hashira is going to be in Mugen Train, I'm assuming. Like,
yeah, he is in Mugen Train, but he is not traveling with them after Mugen Train.
Yeah.
It just happens to be that they were both assigned to go to this train because of the thing that's happening.
Like, I'm not gonna not watch the next season. I thought it was enjoyable enough. I feel like this show was hurt by the hype.
And honestly, that could be, because it definitely did get a lot of hype.
Like, there were a lot of people I've seen who aren't anime watchers who watched this show and said it was great. Like, people I never would expect to have ever watched an anime in their life, not nerdy at all or anything, watched Demon Slayer and said it was an amazing show. And
I mean, it does have really cool visuals also.
It does. It is very good visually. But, like, the art style is cool. It doesn't have the super thick lines, which is nice, but sometimes it does, and it alters back and forth. Like, it does some good stuff. But overall, I'm just like, I'm not saying it's middle of the line. It is an enjoyable, good anime. It's just, it didn't live up to the hype from what I've seen. And that's...
Is Chase okay?
Oh, yeah, he's dreaming.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell if that was like he was trying to get your attention or what.
Yeah, no, he's dreaming. Sometimes he goes blue when he's dreaming, so.
Sorry, Ben makes weird noises when he's asleep, too.
Chase one time awooed himself awake and then was scared because
nice.
he was like, what was that?
Oh, dogs.
Yeah.
I will say though, like, I think Demon Train does a better job of telling a story. It's a little long in the middle. Like I mentioned it when I watched it. Like, they could definitely cut out some of the middle of that movie and have it be just a little more streamlined and structured. But I think, like, the story they tell in Mugen Train is a little bit better than any of the arcs of the season. Mm-hmm. And you do get to see the Fire Hashira, and he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Rengoku, I think his name is.
I can't remember.
He's weird. He's one of those characters where I definitely expected him to be one way, and he was a totally different way. Mm-hmm. But, like, in the best way.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else you want to say about Demon Slayer?
No, it's worth a watch, but just don't expect groundbreaking, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was on Netflix, so that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's been on there for quite a while.
So I know most platforms weren't able to have the dub of it for a while because Toonami had the rights to it, or Cartoon Network had the rights to it. So it was one of those, like, it had to air on Cartoon Network first before the dub could be available, which is super annoying. But have you guys seen anything that's come out about the PlayStation 5 hard drive expansions? Drew, you probably heard it on the Bombcast today.
Yeah, that's all I heard, and I wasn't listening intently when they started talking about it.
So it's simultaneously cool and fucking stupid. So the PS5, if you want to expand your hard drive, it'll just take an M2 drive.
Right.
Sony has released that you can buy an M2. They are not making their own, and they are not giving an endorsed list of drives to use. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like, here's the specifications for drives that you should look for, but that's it. Like, they're not saying like, oh, go get a Seagate drive or whatever. They've also come out and said that the drives must have heat sinks on them. So like generally like so a heat sink on an M2 drive is like 2 pieces of a thermal padding and then like the metal heat sink around it to help dissipate the heat into the PlayStation, where the PlayStation can then dissipate it properly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because of the size of the slot and everything, it has to be a very specific size, like down to like the millimeter, or it won't fit. So you have to like find these drives with heat sinks or buy the heat sinks separately that will be the exact size you need to fit into the little slot on the PlayStation 5. But then on top of that, they are not guaranteeing performance on any drives. So even if you get a drive that is faster than the internal storage, they are not promising that games will behave the same way. So like your loading times may decrease or may increase, stuff like that. Things that they had said they were waiting to allow the external hard drives until they could confirm that stuff would be the same. And the same reason why they don't let you play PS5 games off of USB drives. So now it's just like, we're just not going to promise anything. Like,
well, I don't necessarily 100% agree with that, because to even be able to do this, you have to be in their beta firmware. That's the thing. Like, this is all beta stuff for being able to even use the expanded hard drive right now.
Yeah, but it's going to go wide in the next couple of months.
Sure, but maybe at that point they've figured out if these things actually are happening. But they're just putting in mega disclaimer language right now while they don't have things completely sorted on the firmware side saying, hey, your game might load slower or whatever.
I think it's just crazy that they didn't just, like, before even like releasing the beta firmware, just go, hey, here are 3 drives that we have tested and performed well with PlayStation first party games. Like, we don't know if Call of Duty plays well on this, but fucking Ratchet and Clank is going to play like fucking gold. Instead they're just like, yeah, just try stuff out. Spend $150 and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sucks because, like, I'm constantly deleting stuff off my hard drive. I wanted to start streaming yesterday at 5, but apparently, my hard drive was full and I couldn't install Returnal while it wasn't turned on, so I had to go remove a bunch of games, install Returnal, and it took me another hour before I could start playing.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least on the plus side for this, it's not, and Sony's done this in the past, it's not proprietary memory. It's not like your Vita, where you had to get the very special, expensive memory cards to be able to do anything, which is also what Xbox is doing. Like, I think, are the Xbox drives 250 or 200? I forget. I think they're 200.
200 sounds right, but I'll double check.
Yeah, so like the Xbox expansions, they're a terabyte for $200. That is all it will ever be good for. Like, it fits into the back of your Xbox. That's it.
220.
220. That's such a weird fucking number.
On Amazon, right?
That sounds right, though, now that you said it. Like, I kind of remember it being a weird price. At least with this, like, you could theoretically buy a 4 terabyte M2 drive, and as long as it meets all the specs and you can get like a proper heatsink and all for it, you can just load that fucker right into your PS5 and probably have everything go well. And then if you know, in 5 years you don't use it on your PS5 anymore, like, you can slap it into a PC.
Yeah.
Like, it's still just a regular ass hard drive, so there's nothing stopping you from making it a 4 terabyte like PC drive.
Mm-hmm.
Though that would be an insane amount of money. Like, I've seen some of the drives people are recommending are like close to $1,000 because they're like high capacity, high speed, like just crazy hard drives that human beings don't really need.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, if you have $1,000, you want to put it into your PlayStation, like, go for it.
Yeah.
Enjoy all that space for Call of Duty Warzones.
I mean, that's all you're still going to fit no matter what size hard drive.
Yeah, by the time you install all of Warzones on a base PS5, like you've only got like 200 gigs left.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's freaking. I've thought about like installing Warzones on my PC, and I'm like, nah, just nah. That's gonna.
All right, because that's free to play, isn't it?
I think so.
Yep.
I forgot Warzones was free to play.
That it is.
But at this point, you don't want to because it's Activision.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. I mean, I wasn't really going to at all already, but like, I was still like, I kind of want to get into some form of, what's the word?
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. But I don't want to, I wouldn't mind trying a single player Battle Royale, and Warzones is really the only one that really got my interest.
Oh, when you say single player, you mean not Apex, I assume.
Yeah. Like, I want to be, no. I don't like shooting somebody in a 6-foot tower, please. You know this.
No, but you can then climb the tower. You love climbing towers.
No, I already said that a couple weeks ago. That, like, that's the thing I hate the most in video games nowadays is tower climbing.
No, you actually told us the other day that you wanted to invest in Ubisoft to have them put more tower climbing into games.
I mean, maybe a little bit. Like, I want them to make a tower climbing game where it's just an endless tower. Because, like, maybe that'll get them to stop putting tower climbing in games.
No, then you have to go into the tower and then climb a ladder to get onto a ledge to then unlock the map of that level of the tower so that you can then jump down, go back out, and start climbing the rest of the tower.
Exactly. Like, it's an exterior tower climber that, like, you need to solve puzzles and climb the outside of it in the right way in order to get to the next part to unlock the next tier, and it just slowly gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and by the time you get to the end and you complete the final tower climb, you're at the first level again, and it's just a ring.
But how would that work? Now I'm trying to think about this in my head. Like, if you were climbing, so like it would have to be spinning the whole time, right? Like it would just have to be on a slow spin so that you never touched the ground while you were climbing it.
Well, it would just be like you as a player would only see like around your character, and like, so let's say it'll be a third person style game. Like, you can look down and it's just a never ending abyss of down, and you can look up and it's a never ending abyss of up. And as you climb more and more and more, the story unfolds of like you're on this ancient mysterious alien device thing that you're climbing, and you got to get to the top to stop it from activating, and then you have to put in the codes 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, and then it starts all over again.
So you basically want a Lost game.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that reference right there.
Yeah, it kind of hurts me that you remember those numbers so well.
I watch How I Met Your Mother at least once a year, or at least once every 6 months.
What does that have to do with Lost?
There is a Lost reference in one of the episodes. Hurley's in it. He plays, what is the character's name? I can't remember the character's name, but he has a nickname, and anytime he leaves a room, he, like, good things happen, and so he always misses out on the good stuff. And,
I remember that episode.
And one point, they bet Marshall to text a random number, his drunk, and they're like, he jumps in and is like, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, and he types it in and sends it, and so. But I was also just obsessed with Lost. At one point, I thought about getting those numbers tattooed on me because I'm an idiot. But I was obsessed with Lost.
Dude, you should get them tattooed across your chest.
No.
In like real like calligraphy font too.
I would get them tattooed across my
or Comic
forehead.
Sans.
It would be across my.
No, I mean that's just taking it too far. But like, think about it, those numbers, Comic Sans across your chest.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
What else do you have to do with your chest?
Not have numbers on.
Well, you're just boring.
Right?
Speaking of climbing towers, Drootin, you played the Ascent?
Yeah, that is a big old tower you're climbing.
Wow, did you actually know what the Ascent was? Or were you just going off the name?
50-50.
Nice.
Yeah, there definitely is a giant tower run by an evil corporation that you're like an indentured servant of. I don't know. The story was a little lost on me at the beginning, and I've only played a couple hours, like probably 2 or 3, but it's interesting. It's a like dual stick shooter, little bit of Diablo feel. Like there's a light amount of loot. The stuff isn't that different so far. You know, like I found like an Uzi and an assault rifle and a grenade launcher, but not like a purple grenade launcher versus a white one or whatever, But you can upgrade the guns a little bit.
So are you playing by yourself or with somebody?
No, I've just been playing by myself. Bought it on. Is it only? No, well, I know it's at least on Xbox, but I bought it on PC, bought it on Steam, and I don't know. It's interesting so far. I haven't gotten back around to playing it since Friday though. I'm intrigued. It looks super cool.
Yeah, I saw Nextlander playing it yesterday or the day before. I watched a little bit of it. It was actually really like it was not what I expected it like visually at all. Like for some reason in my head it was some sort of like smaller like pixely indie game. And I don't know why I assumed that at all because it definitely isn't.
No. I mean it looks pretty good for I mean I don't think it's a very big team that made that game, but it's got a cool cyberpunk dark neon look going on.
Yeah, like I said, the little bit I saw of it was actually pretty cool looking. I don't know that I've heard mixed things about it though. Like it seems like people really like it when they're playing with other people, but playing solo it just doesn't have the legs for it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% how I feel on it. Probably why I haven't gone back and played anymore since Friday, although had a relatively weekend, so that also didn't help me playing games. But yeah, I will play more at some point, but I don't have like a major like I need to get back into playing it right away kind of feel with it.
Okay, so it doesn't like have you gripped too hard.
No, I feel if the like items were a little more interesting, that would kind of be a bit of a draw, but like the story didn't really hook me too much early on, but it plays well. Like especially once you get a second gun that isn't just the like revolver that you start with where you have to keep pulling the trigger. Once you get like an automatic gun, it's like okay, now you're just kind of mowing down shit. And that was pretty fun. I'm definitely interested. I would like to play it with other people and see if that makes a difference.
There you go, Rich. Buy this game. You can play it with Drew on stream.
I've looked into it. It's only $30. Well, it's 25 on Steam right now. It's on sale. But like I don't right now. I literally have so much that I'm playing that I don't know if I can manage another game right now. Like Monster Hunter Returnal, although it's an older game, I want to get back into Fallout. It's just like I want to beat some games before I get back into others, and there's a bunch of other games I do want to play. I am interested in that. I haven't checked too much about it, but I've heard a little bit about it. But it's just I don't know right now if I want to get another.
Cobb, do you have Game Pass?
Not right now.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you.
I like when I don't have anything like that I've purchased that I want to play. I do subscribe to it off and on.
Gotcha.
Is it crossplay? Like will Xbox and PC?
I don't know. I'm gonna check on that real quick. Sense play. Let's see. Boy. Okay. Won't get a true. Okay, it has crossplay between PC and Xbox.
Oh, cool.
But only if I'm playing on the Xbox. The Xbox app version or the Windows Store version, not the Steam version.
That's stupid. Like I get it, like, but that's stupid. I was gonna say, like, because Erica goes away on the 12th. She's going out to North Dakota to see her sister for a few days. So like, okay. I'd spend the $15 for Game Pass for a month and try it out. But if it's not crossplay, and I'm sure as shit not gonna play it on PC.
Mm-hmm.
It does look like a fun game, but at the moment, it's not on my list. It's not on my top 10 list of games to get. But maybe if it gets a really good sale in the near future, for sure. But even like Back 4 Blood's coming out soon as well, and a handful of other games that I'm unfortunately not super down for this game right away.
I mean, I doubt it'll get any more of a sale than it's on right now because it literally came out on Friday.
I know, but like it's also like. Which means I probably won't get it in the summer, but maybe they'll have a decent sale in the fall or winter, or maybe next year when I actually have time to play. It's like it's just not a game I'm looking to get right now. But it does look cool. And I like the aesthetic, the cyberpunk like kind of feel to it.
Yeah, that's definitely right now the like thing driving me to want to play it is the look of the.
And hey, Rich, I mean, it's on Game Pass, so you could use that dollar month or $3 months, whatever they're doing right now, and play it that way.
I wouldn't be able to play it with Drootin because he has it on Steam.
Yeah, but if you did it on, oh yeah, because I think it's probably still not crossplay even on PC if you're playing it through the game store.
Yeah, that's probably how it works.
Yeah, because I wonder if that's the case or not. Actually, that's a weird one. Like, can Xbox Game Pass on PC play it with Steam?
I don't know, because I don't even know how the multiplayer lobby system works. Like, if there's an invite or what. Because I just went right into the multiplayer because I wasn't trying to play with randoms.
Yeah, though I have heard that there are some ice cream trucks.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
There have been some issues with like save game recovery, let's call it. I've seen a few different things online and on podcasts where people started the game playing with somebody else, and then they were done, and then that person went back to keep playing afterwards, and they couldn't find their save game. And then, like, they started a new save game, and then that game became corrupted, but their old one showed up again. Like, very, very weird stuff going on. But it's, it's a brand new game, and like you said, it's probably a small team.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows at that point? But, Rich, did you actually go get ice cream?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
You would have heard the door open.
That is true. That's fair.
I don't know. That ice cream truck was pretty loud that we might not have heard the door open over it.
No.
Yeah, are your windows open?
No, they're not.
Oh, that's weird. Like, that truck was louder than he usually is.
My sister can put a fork on the counter and you hear it. It's just this mic. You know that.
No, I mean, that is true, but like, the ice cream truck was just because we hear it, like, every week, but, like, it was, like, significantly louder. Like, they must have had it, like, cranked up in the truck or something.
It sounded like it was in your living room.
No, it wasn't that close.
Yeah, like, that's why I asked if your windows were open, because it sounded like you had windows open, like it was that loud.
Nope. I wanted to open them today, but I didn't.
It's been nice the last few days. Like, it wouldn't have been uncomfortable to do such a thing.
Yeah.
But Rich, how uncomfortable has Monster Hunter Stories 2 been?
Not at all. Not at all. Actually, one of the more exciting fights I've had in an RPG in a while was the end of the starting area. Like, basically the end of the demo. They have you fighting an Anjanath, and it's just like, you're already getting, like, sort of, like, overload with all the information you have to take in, trying to figure out, like, strategically what the best abilities and moves to do and stuff. But then, like, it throws in more, and like, he comes out of nowhere, or no, he didn't come out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere earlier in the game. It's just, I don't know, I thought it was, like, I feel like this game is so fun, and the combat style is so interesting. Like, it's just, there's so much you have to take in, to think about, to figure out, to have, like, the highest ranking per fight, or in order to get the best parts, or, like, what you have to figure out, like, the armor sets you want to use, what weapons you've got. Like, do you want to try to focus on poisoning, or you want to try to focus on other things? Like, it is not Super Monster Hunter, but in a Super Monster Hunter way. And it's really good with everything it does. The story is fine. Like, it's not anything to write home about. It's not like the greatest story ever. I'm not even really that far into it. I could do with less of the cat, because it's annoying that anytime the cat talks about his previous friend was the main character in Monster Hunter Stories, who is Red, your grandfather. But the cat does not make mention that Red, your grandfather, and you are, like, he doesn't mention or connect that his previous friend was your grandfather. And so it's just so weird.
Wait, so your character is the grandson of the protagonist from the first game?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Like, the story doesn't really continue from itself. It's its own story.
That's still interesting, though.
But yeah, like, Ratha is, like, I never played the first one, but from what I understand, like, Guardian Ratha was, like, probably one of your guardians that you used in the first one. I think the box art had your character have a Ratha look. They connect it that way, but that's really all. And, like, I have so much fun playing this game. It gives me that, like, nice Pokemon feel of trying to find the right monsties to get, and it gives you that, like, a way to, if you encounter a monster you know that you want, you can throw essentially a Pokeball. It's a paintball at the Monstie, and when you kill them, they'll run away instead of being killed. And so then you chase them to their den and gather one of their eggs. So this way it's not always 100% random of what you're going to get. You know you're going to get that Monstie in that monster's den. But it's just, like, I can't speak enough about the combat system. Like, it's, first of all, like, you have to understand what the monster's preferred attack type is going to be. Then you have to decide what Monstie you're going to use, because you're going to want one that uses the opposing attack type. So say you're fighting a speed, you're going to want one that uses technique. So you're going to want to switch your Monstie to a technique one. Then you're going to want to use the weapon that's strongest against the monster that you're fighting with the attack type to match the one that your Monstie is using to get the most points, to, like, get the most damage. And, like, there's just so much going on. It can sometimes be a little bit of overload for me. Or, like, oh, I'll forget to check this, or I'll forget to check that. And just, like, the process of, like, learning what every monster is weak to is just, it's interesting.
So do you get more party members that you have any control over, or does the game keep it where, like, if you have anybody else in the party, they just kind of do their own thing?
They do their own thing. It's, like, but they all have, it seems like they have their own preferred attack type. So, and you can use, like, duo attacks with their Monstie. So if they're running around on a Monstie that uses speed, and they use a power attack, but you use a speed, you use a double attack with their Monstie, as long as you're attacking the same monster.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you can do a double attack with another human, but at least with their Monstie, you can get that partner attack.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
But it, like, I've only encountered one other person that was in my team, and they're currently in my team with me, and they use bow and arrow. So, like, they're strong against things that are weak to bow and arrows, but weak to everything else. So, or weaker, not weak, but weaker to, like, other things or things that are strong against bow and arrow. So, like, you have to balance that out, and luckily you can change your weapon on the fly. Otherwise, if you're using a bow and arrow against something that's not weak to bow and arrow, or is even strong against bow and arrow, like, the fight's going to take forever. You're either going to die or not get enough points. And you might not, that fight might not be worth it for you if you take too long. If the fight takes too long, if you don't get enough points or whatever. It's just, it's fun. I really enjoy this game.
Yeah, I thought it the little bit I played from the demo, it was definitely not what I expected it to be. Mm-hmm. And if I ever see it on, like, a decent sale, I will probably pick it up. But
yeah,
it's not something I necessarily want to spend $60 on, because I feel like I will kind of fall off of it. But, yeah, like 40, I'd probably go for.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this game is worth 60. From what I'm seeing, there is a decent amount of, like, post-game content as well. I don't really know what it's going to be. There's also multiplayer capabilities. Again, I haven't really jumped into any of that, because I'm still, like, I think I'm 21 hours into the game or something like. No. That's right. I'm not 21 hours into the game. It saves the time that you saved. It doesn't save the time that you're at. I'm probably, like, 10 to 12 hours in. But it's just, like, there's so much to it. I haven't even, like, I just got the egg for the Raise Wing Ratha that they talk about in the trailer. And I'm 12 hours in. It hasn't even hatched yet. So, like, it's gonna be a while before probably the story, like, actually opens up. But, like, I do want to see where this goes, and it's good. It's just like, the story doesn't have to be anything amazing. I think the gameplay, like, holds it up. Like, even, like, all the dens seem to be very procedurally generated. Like, there's set number of, like, how it's gonna be laid out, but, like, they're randomly placed throughout the maps. There's a bunch of different kind of dens you can go into to get different monsters, and like I've just barely scratched the surface of this game. Yeah,
that sounds about right. Like, it seems like one of those games that's just it's got a slow burn to get the story going.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like once you actually hit that point, there's going to be a lot.
Yeah. And, like, I'm at the point in the story, I've been told from a buddy of mine, that I will be able to enhance my Monsties with the Monsties I have in my pretty much in my Pokedex, the Monsties I still own. But, like, they have a currency called bottle caps, and I had to use bottle caps to buy more slots in my barn in order to hold the monsties I have, because I knew it was coming up soon that I was going to be able to merge the monsties and make them stronger, but I didn't know when. And so now, like, it's making it more and more useful for me to go egg hunting even this early in the game to get a more powerful, or to make my monsties.
So you're basically going to cannibalize them. You're just going to make them eat each other.
Essentially, yeah, that's probably what it's like. Like, remember how in Pokemon Go you get the candy, you feed them the candies and, like, the Pokemon candies in order to evolve them and strengthen them? That's essentially what this is.
You're not turning the Pokemon into candies. You're sending them to the professor, and the professor is taking care of them. He is giving you candy in return.
He's turning them into candy.
No, they're at no. It's just like Professor Oak. They're all at his like research compound. That's like a giant oasis for Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah, sure. You can think that. He throws them into a wood chipper and just turns them into little Pokeballs.
I feel like a chipper and a machine that would turn them into little candies, not the same machine.
He throws them into the wood chipper and it grinds them all up and spits them out into a machine that turns them into that pushes all that pulp and turns it into little candy pellets that your Pokemon.
Nope, still don't think that's how that would work at all. That would be no, can't get behind that one.
Pretty sure that'll work.
If
you get a thing and if you get a bunch of stuff and you grind it up real small and then you turn it into a little pellet and just put enough pressure into it, it sticks together. How do you think pills are made?
Not like that.
Some actually kind of are.
But like they're not put through a wood chipper.
Well, no, but
fair.
Like, when I say wood chipper, I just mean a thing that grinds them really, really, really small. Like, come on now. A blender? Fine, we'll use a blender.
There you go.
Would you rather see a Pokemon in a blender?
I mean, honestly, yes. If we had to pick one, I'd rather a blender or a food processor over a wood chipper that's going to literally spray everything everywhere.
But, like, you have the little hose that goes right in. It doesn't go all over. Like, it has the have you ever... Have
you ever seen a wood chipper?
That's what I'm wondering right now.
Yeah, it has the thing that goes into the truck, and then it'll throw everything into the truck. It has, like, the arm, and, like, yeah, it's not the most, like, things aren't gonna get, like, explode everywhere. It's just gonna go straight into the truck. And it's gonna get everywhere in the truck.
You are getting some Pikachu bits places other than this truck that you... And also, like...
That's
wood going through the wood chipper that comes out nicely right into the truck, not flesh and bone.
Yeah, you should watch a video of people putting like fruit into a wood chipper to see what happens when it's something squishy and liquidy. It does not work the same way as wood.
Look, you're fertilizing the ground, and that's how you grow more Pokemon, right?
No, we know Pokemon.
All Pokemon come from eggs.
But
every one of them.
Fuck, we know this.
What came first, the Pokemon or the egg?
Who
Arceus.
knows?
Yeah, true.
Arceus came first. Arceus made Mew, and the time and space Pokemon. I forget their names. Dalgia and Palkia.
Yes.
Oh, right.
There we go. So, Rich, other than Monster Hunter, how is Returnal?
Returnal is super fun. Like, it is, it's, the way I explain it, it is a roguelike Metroidvania bullet hell.
Which, those are all words I have heard used to describe this game other places.
Yeah. And it just, like, it can get so intense. I played from 6 to about 11:30 last night, because at 10 of 10, I was like, this is my last run. And my last run lasted until 11:30. It's fun. It's got, like, the whole idea of the bullet hell, like, really pulls me in. Like, having to keep track of where enemies are attacking from, and, like, you have the dodge that'll make you invulnerable while you're dodging. And, like, the adrenaline mechanic, I think is really a really cool idea, where
is that?
As you kill enemies, your adrenaline goes up, and once your adrenaline goes from 0 to 1, you say you have slightly better sight, or no, that's adrenaline. Adrenaline 1 will give the reload mechanic more time. So it just like in Gears of War, when you were to reload, there was that button to reload faster, but also gave you your gun a little bit more power. In this, if your gun overheats, it has a reload mechanic as well. and if you hit it, it reloads faster and cools down faster. I don't really know if it's more powerful, but you can get pickups that make it like more useful. So if you overcharge, it'll send out bolts to 2 enemies or something like that. But also, once you reach level 1, Adrenaline, you have a little shoulder-mounted cannon that fires 1 orb that homes in. And then level 2, you've got 2 shoulder-mounted cannon, 2 orbs, 3 orbs, all the way to 5. And each level, you get like something an increase to something, like better sight so that you can see where the enemies are behind walls. I don't really know what 3, 4, and 5 do, because I tend to get them so rapidly that I don't have the time to read what 3, 4, and 5 do. But
that's fair.
If you get hit, you drop to 0. So the whole point of the game is to be good and not get hit, or have abilities that make it so if you do get hit, you don't take damage, because it's taking damage and not getting hit.
So do you have like a certain amount of health? It's not just like a one-hit kill sort of.
There is a health bar that you can fill. It is called integrity. They call it integrity. And I just say this in case you hear me mention integrity, or you end up playing it and you need to know what integrity is. And if your health bar is full, and you get 3 points of resin, which heal your suit, heal your health and integrity, your health goes up. But if your health isn't full and you pick up something that heals you, it heals you. So there was an exploit when the game first came out where you could go through the whole first area without picking up a health pack, go back to the very beginning of the first area and rest in your ship, and it'll heal you. You can then go back through everywhere because enemies don't respawn and pick up all of the health that you didn't pick up to increase your health all the way. Or not all the way, but as far as you can. They took that exploit out. You don't heal when you sleep anymore.
I remember seeing like something about that like a while ago.
Yeah. Eric was mad because that was his main playstyle because he sucks. I honestly hate that. I hate the thought of that.
Actually, maybe you were the one that mentioned this then. Maybe you were talking about the way Eric played it.
Yeah, because I did play it once before I played 1 run for a half hour. But yesterday I played, I think it was close to 6.5 hours. And, the runs are long. It is not a normal roguelike where, a single run, how long do you think from beginning to boss would, Hades be?
To the end boss?
Yeah.
I'd say my average is 35 to 40.
Alright, in that hour and a half, I made it from Zone 1 to midway through Zone 3, only having fought 1 boss, because you don't have to fight every boss. When you
say zone, are zones the same as biomes? Because I've always heard people refer to biomes.
Yeah, biome. It's not. It's biomes. But I hadn't cleared the second biome, the wastelands, the red wastelands. So in order to get to the third biome, from the first biome, you need a grappling hook that you don't get until you beat the boss in the second biome. So I needed to go from beginning from your ship all the way to finding the portal to get to the second biome, to fighting through the biome, killing the boss, going through the portal into the third biome, and exploring that for a bit was an hour and a half. They are not short runs.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people say when the game first came out that their average runs were 3 hours, and it was kind of it was a bit of a complaint for people because there's no save in the game, or they might have added one. I know they were working on adding something.
Yeah.
But there was no save, and the developers were basically like, oh yeah, if you have to leave before your run's over, just put your PlayStation to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And this was when the PS5 had a lot of sleep issues where it was crashing hard and having to rebuild every time.
Yeah.
So that was not a good response from the devs.
Yeah, trust me, I'm not a fan of it because I'll occasionally get power surges and my power will go out and it'll kick my PlayStation off. So if I'm in the middle of a really good run and I have to just put it in sleep mode to hope it lasts, and then my power goes out, that kind of sucks. But I like the idea that they're kind of longer runs. But now that I've made it through the second area, I don't have to go there again. You can find a portal from the first biome to the third biome. So you keep the grapple hook? Yeah, you keep the grappling hook. It is one of those, and that's the Metroidvania style idea of it. Like, the first area, you get a couple of things that you keep that you can't progress through the first area without them. And then once you finish the first biome, get to the second biome, defeat the boss in the second biome, you get the grappling hook, which you keep, which now, in the first biome, helps you unlock certain chests that you might not have been able to find or get to before, or go right to the third biome if you can find that area to go through. Because in the second biome, to get to the third biome, you essentially have to go all the way through the entire thing. You can't just, it's not like a quick, there might be a chance to be able to find the teleporter, but it seems like you won't be able to find the teleporter in the second biome until you reach the mountains, which is 8 or 9 rooms in from the second biome. But there's a normal roguelike though, there's pluses and minuses to just skipping. You could get your weapon proficiency resets with every cycle, so it goes down to 0, and the higher your weapon proficiency, the more boosters your weapon might get, or the more damage it might do. So it might be better to go through the second biome before you go to the third. Or you could just risk it and just go right into the third biome and see how well you're going to do. It's a different take in what I can see in a roguelike style. And the fact that the runs do take so long, or at least they take so long for me.
No, it's for everybody.
Will make the game feel less repetitive and makes me feel more satisfied when I do die.
Well, that's good.
Last night, I was I want to die. I want this to end. I want to stop this run. I want to call it a quits, but I couldn't. And I as far as I know, I couldn't save mid-run or whatever. And there's no stop. I'm I don't want to just put it in sleep mode because I'm probably not going to play this for a couple of days. I want to end this run. So I just want to keep going. I didn't purposely die. I kept going and doing the best I could. But, cause, what if I did get to the final boss in this run? Then that'd be sweet. And, then I could keep, it's that, you can't just stop. You need to keep going.
Which, makes at least a certain amount of sense.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I feel like I would actually probably get more frustrated if a game, I did something for 3 hours and then died and had to do all of it over again.
But again, you don't have to do it all over.
But even any amount of it, because this is one of the prime reasons why I don't get into roguelikes, is I don't like doing the same thing over again.
Mm-hmm.
So and the longer something goes that I have to redo it, it's no, I'm that's why I haven't even thought about buying Returnal, because it's one of those, it's after my first death, I'm that was a lot of game to have to even do any portion of it over. I'm just not going to play this anymore.
There's 6 biomes. I'm only halfway through. But I can see that, but I feel like the game rewards you enough. But also this game is definitely not a game of your style. This is a game where learning tells and learning how the monsters play or the enemies fight. That's what kind of game this is, and that's generally not your type of game to begin with.
Yeah. I'm excited for when this game goes on PlayStation Plus in a year or two. Yeah. And I can just give it a quick shot.
Yeah. Look, the only reason I bought it was because it was on sale, $20 off. If it wasn't on sale, I probably wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, even 50, just because I know that's not a game that I would spend any real time with. But I've been intrigued by it the whole time. It's just I can't put money down on something that I know I'm not going to play for more than a single run.
I mean, I also had a $25 gift card to the PlayStation Store as well. So
which helps.
I got the game for $25. I definitely got my money's worth even just last night. I had a blast playing it. It's a 6-hour stream that's both on my Twitch and on my YouTube right now if you guys want to go back and watch it. But it's just got a lot of interesting things that it does that I really enjoy. With the artifact power-ups, the suit malfunctions, the parasites that you can get. There's just I really, really like it and having so much fun.
Which is good. At least you found a roguelike that sort of works for you.
Hey, I liked what was that? There was that roguelike that was free on PlayStation 3 or 4. In the castle.
Rogue Legacy?
Rogue Legacy. I really liked Rogue Legacy. And honestly, I've been thinking of reinstalling it on my PS5 just to play it. I like there are some roguelikes I like. There's This one I was really into when I played that one run, and I've always wanted to get back into it. And I was just waiting for it to be on sale because I knew it would be on sale. Same with Resident Evil 8. I'm just waiting for it to be on sale because I know it's going on sale sooner or later.
Yeah, no, that's almost definitely the case.
I'm hoping by October it goes on sale so that I can have a spooky stream month or something like that and play spooky.
October might be too soon just because of how well that game did.
Yeah, I know.
But did you ever end up doing Resident Evil 3 remake?
Yeah, I did that before I played Resident Evil 7.
Okay, I remember you doing 2. I couldn't remember if you did 3.
Yeah,
I remember 2 and 7.
I bought 7 and 3 at the same time, but never played 7 until after I got the PS5.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. I think I actually bought 2 and 3 at the same time, and then bought 7 because it was on a really good sale or something like that. But I did them kind of back to back or close to back.
That sounds familiar now that you say that.
But yeah, I might do just a full Resident Evil stream for October or something. I've been playing around with spooky streams in October, but we'll see what happens with that.
You can very easily play the first 4 of them, probably 5 and 6 too. But you figure 1, 2, and 3 all have relatively recent either upgrades or remakes. Yeah. Because they took the Resident Evil 1 remake from GameCube and like remastered it for PS4.
They basically just ported it, yeah.
Yeah, they give it like slightly better resolution and stuff like that. But so you have that one that you can get for PS4, and then 2 remake, 3 remake, and then 4's just been available on everything. You can play on your fucking phone if you wanted to.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm not going to. If I were to do that, if I were to just do all the Resident Evils for stream, I would not do 4 because they're remaking 4, if I remember correctly.
It's VR.
Is it just that VR version that they were doing? And
that's
not like
all they have announced.
Okay, then maybe I would rebuy it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they won't remake it, considering how well the other ones have done. But the only 4 remake that has been announced is the VR version, and that's not really even a remake. They're pretty much just porting it to be in VR.
Yeah, but I mean, Returnal has kind of some creepy horror-y aspects to it. This fucking astronaut is just, I don't even know. I just don't even know. But it's interesting. Anytime you go back to her house, she relives like memories. Or not anytime, but I guess generally whenever you go back to her house, she relives some memories, but they're altered. I spent a good 15 minutes last night reading a book that was in her house. Made for great entertainment for people watching the stream, I'm sure.
Probably not. Good thing you probably only had that one viewer.
Yeah, I 1 or 2. I read it to them, too. I'd read it to everyone.
Did you make voices?
There were no voices. It wasn't multiple. It was like a informational book. Like, it was a story, but like, there weren't enough, like, instances of somebody talking to actually do voices.
That's fair.
Yeah. But anyway, Cobb, you played some, Great Ace, Attorney Chronicles?
Yeah, so I started the first of the 2 games in that package, which is the Great Ace Attorney Adventure. I talked about this a little bit when it was shown during one of the Nintendo Directs, I believe it was.
Yeah.
It's a Phoenix Wright game, like it's in that series, the Ace Attorney series, as it were. But you are playing as one of Phoenix's ancestors from like the late 1800s.
Yeah.
I forget his name because it's a very long Japanese name. But I've played through the first episode and started the second one. So the first one is it's similar to an early case in the first Phoenix Wright game. Your character is put on trial for murder that he did not commit. The difference being he is a college student and not even a law student. But this is in Japan in the 1800s where they make many references to this in the trial. Their kind of judicial system, as it were, is kind of in its infancy at that point. Like, this game would be at the beginning of the Meiji Restoration era, which is like kind of like when they had a more like democratic government go into place and everything, and like the era of the samurai kind of was beginning to die out. It's when Kenshin took place, if you've ever watched that show. But
I have.
Okay. So your best friend is a law student, and apparently like the top student in school, like to the point where he is selected to take a trip to England to study.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically volunteers to defend you in court, even though the odds of you getting off are non-existent because basically everything is stacked against you as it would be. And because of that, a teacher actually convinces you to not let your friend be your lawyer, but to have your friend basically just be your assistant so that they don't get any sort of like negative marks against them for losing the case.
Yeah.
So you end up defending yourself. And Drew, have you ever played any of the Phoenix Wright games? I know you have, Rich.
Yes, but I think only the first one, maybe two that they put out on DS.
That is still good enough. So you'll at least get you'll understand this. So as you're playing through the first trial, like it's this normal court setup, you know, what are those things called? Witnesses are coming in, you're cross questioning them and everything. But you know, in all the Phoenix games, like he's enough of a lawyer that like he'll like slam his hands down and like point and kind of like, you know, be into it. Your character in this, because he's not a lawyer, like he's very timid at the beginning of the trial. Like every so often he'll kind of like slam his hands on the desk when he's like making like a really good point. And they'll do like a quick little animation where he like looks down at his hands and then looks up like in surprise that he like was so forceful about it. And like as the thing goes on, like you can see he gets more and more confident with things going on. It occasionally like pulls him back in when like they're like, oh yeah, but we have a way to like disprove that notion that you just said. But overall, like it's a lot of the same gameplay. And that first case is also strictly trial. There's no investigation or anything. But they do add none of the Phoenix Wright games I ever played had dual witnesses. So in this one, for most of it, there are two witnesses on the stand. And at a certain point, they actually let you redirect your questioning to a different witness. So when you're asking a question, or especially when you're pressing something, if the other person that's not giving the testimony kind of like does anything other than just their normal like idle animation, you can actually change your point of view over to them and press them instead, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I know once the next story gets going, that's where it's going to unlock like the investigations and everything, and where you're going to you'll have Herlock Sholmes as like a goofy detective who makes all of the wrong assumptions. But so far, it's got that same kind of goofy humor. It's less shitty localization though, because I kind of forgot how bad the localization was in Phoenix Wright until I went back to play it. Like what was that, last year, the year before, when they released the trilogy? That game is very much it's supposed to be in Japan, and they kind of like force it into like, oh yeah, no, this is happening in America. We want cheeseburgers. And like Maya, your mentor's little sister, is like a shrine maiden. Like that's where like she lived at a shrine in like the mountains in Japan. And in the English version, it's just like, yeah, no, she's just some sort of gypsy.
Right.
But yeah, so far this one is fun. I like that it's a period piece too, because it kind of changes things up a little bit. Especially so in the first case, you are put on trial for shooting a professor at your college, a visiting professor from England, at this fancy restaurant that you're at. And it works out where like you were one of the only people in the restaurant, so like there weren't a lot of other witnesses around. And some of the witnesses may or may not have been paid off to say that they didn't see anybody else in the restaurant when this man was killed. And I ended up figuring out what happened fairly early on, but I had assumptions about how it happened that were wrong. So there were, you know how like in those games you have to present things at certain times, and like you present the right piece of evidence or the right person or whatever, and that kind of moves the dialogue along.
Yeah.
But if you present the wrong thing, you like basically lose a check mark, and you're one step closer to just being found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a few times where I'm like, oh, this is the murder weapon. Like this is actually how they killed them. I need to present this. And like I'd present it, and I'm like, fuck. So that's wrong. Let me try to present this instead. And it's like, I knew how the guy was killed, what killed him, who killed him. I just didn't know the exact way it happened. And that, I didn't fail or anything, but I definitely wasted a few, like, hey, look at this evidence moments that I probably didn't need to if I would have just pressed a little bit more and, like, read what else people had to say instead of just jumping to the conclusion.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying it. That first case was, like, 2 or 3 hours also. So it's definitely not going to be a short game. You figure, I want to say there's 5 episodes per game and there's 2 games. So probably going to be playing it for a while, but that's not a bad thing because it was $60. So at least I'm going to get my money out of it.
Those games are always fun. I wish I could hold my interest for a lot longer than they do whenever I sit down to play them. Because I always, like, I played the Chronicles, the trilogy, whatever it was that came out a while back. Like, I bought that, I played the first episode, or the first chapter in the first game, and that's it. And I haven't gone back to it. And I'm like, I need to get back into them. They're so fun. But they're also, like, I don't know if they're games that they're games I'd rather play, like, while on vacation, but not when I'm, like, sitting around at home, other stuff.
They're like bedtime games to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're the games that, like, it's late enough that you're not going to play anything else. So you grab them and you investigate and do a little bit of stuff for a little while. And because they let you save basically any time, it's real easy to just, like, pick up and put down.
Yeah.
And it's and generally, like, I take breaks between the episodes usually too. Like, I very rarely go from episode right into the next one because, like, they do usually take a while. And if you play them too much, like, you do get burnt out because, you know, there's not a lot of game to them per se. It's a lot of reading and just moving between a bunch of different areas to question the same, like, handful of people over and over again.
Yeah.
But this one's fun so far. And it's a remake of a 3DS game. Both of them are. Mm-hmm. From 2015. So they're relatively recent 3DS games, but they do look significantly better than the Phoenix Wright games did. And the cutscenes and stuff are actually like anime. So, like, the openings to the different episodes they're just cartoons. Like, they're not just the visual novel stuff that the old Phoenix Wright games were. Once you're actually in the game, that's what it is, but you at least get, like, some nice animated cutscenes otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're up to the book club, guys.
We are up to the book club.
Rich, since you picked this one, would you like to start? So, I guess before we get started, we're going to talk about the message and life after. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk spoilers, so if you care about these podcasts, maybe don't listen.
These are 5 years old. 4 or 5 years old each.
Look, I had never even heard of them until you talked about them. So
I've talked about them both on this fucking podcast at least once.
I have no recollection of either of these. No, I vaguely remember them, but you know what I mean? Like, I hadn't really put any thought behind them other than, like, oh, okay, like, you like narrative podcasts.
Yeah, I will, yeah, we'll talk spoilers. Spoiler warning for a 5-year-old commodity. I don't think there needs to be such a thing anymore. It's kind of your fault for not watching them. And we have been telling you for a month now that we're going to talk about this. So, like...
This is true.
But yeah, I will kind of run us through this. I want to first ask, did you guys also listen to... I said you didn't have to, and it's fine if you didn't, but did you listen to Afterlife After with Neil deGrasse Tyson and other people? Like, it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, the writer of the 2 shows, and some other scientisty people?
I did.
Okay.
I did not.
I meant to text and say that it gives you a little bit better insight. Do you agree, Drootin, that, like, it helps you, like, maybe not really understand, but, like, it gives you a little bit more of a fresh, like, thought on the show themselves? Yeah.
I'm gonna say I thought that was the best thing of all of it.
Yeah. I'm to be honest, I'm not surprised. For it's that you aren't, like we've discussed in the past, like, scripted media isn't your cup of tea. So, like...
Yeah, but, like, you've suggested, in my opinion, way better narrative podcast before. Like, I thought these sucked, honestly.
Man.
I didn't like almost anything about any of it.
Alright, we'll get into the message first. We'll get to the message. We already know Drootin's feelings. Cobb, how'd you feel about it?
Actually, I liked the message. It's not something I'll ever go back and listen to again the way that you do, Rich, but, like, it was short, and I appreciated that they actually delivered it as a podcast. Mm-hmm. So, like, well, we'll get into it more later, but, like, the other one, Life After, it's just an audio drama. Like, it's just things are happening, and that's that. This one was actually presented as these people got together to record a podcast of this thing that they are going to be investigating and trying to figure out the origins of.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was a neat way to do it. And anytime that they were recording something that was a little like off, somebody would make reference to like, "Are you recording this right now?" Or like something like that.
Yeah. It was fully like they took a lot of reference to George Orwell when he did War of the World, right? That was his name. Or no, is that his name? When he did the radio broadcast about War of the Worlds and people thought that water towers were the tripods. But yeah, like they took a lot of that, and that's what this podcast was like more trying to fill a reference to when it came to telling the story, was like this was supposed to feel real even though it wasn't. And that's like one thing that really pulled me into it when I first listened to it.
Hey, I'm sorry, I had to just real quick. You were getting the names mixed up. So Orson Welles is who did the radio drama in the 20s or 30s. H.G. Wells is the writer of the novel The War of the Worlds from a couple decades prior.
Yeah, so I was talking about Orson Welles. And so like that's like where they brought it. Drootin, any like beginning words on the message before we get further into it? I have like a kind of silly question I want to ask before, but I want to know what you thought about it before we get into it.
I mean, I liked this one least of the two, honestly. Honestly, because they were playing it as like this is a podcast being recorded, and just I don't know. The message did not click with me in any way, shape, or form.
So, as you listen to more and more of the message, the podcast, was there any point in time where you might have had a little anxiety, like, is this real? Am I going to have this breathing disease?
Fucking not even close.
It's always, because the way they, like, produce it, for me, I do, like, I know it's fake, but there's always that, like, man, that's interesting. And, like, I always have that slight little bit of, like, it pulls me in so much that right before they play, even though I know what's going to happen, even though I know it's fake, even though I know how it's been, and I've listened to it countless times, before they play it the first time, I'm like, should I listen to it? Yeah, I'll listen. And I don't know if you guys saw my Twitter post, because there's really nowhere to talk about this online anywhere, besides maybe Reddit. But after listening to the message a number of times, this was the first time I heard, like, whispers in the background of certain scenes. Like, when somebody's close to death, and, like, or mostly when, what's her name, is talking and being stressed out. Like, her pseudo, spoiler alert now, alien voice starts to come out, and you start to hear whispers and darker voices. You hear it the most, I believe it's episode 5, when they get put into quarantine and are talking with the general, and he's going to resign. And so they're like, well, give us the reports. We need to read those. Only the one woman will look at them. And like, while they're having this conversation, you can hear in the background these deepened whispers. And like, this is the first time I've heard those. I thought that, like, did you guys catch anything like that? Any audio issues with that? Not really issues, but like anything else like that?
Nah, I didn't hear those. That might have actually maybe helped it a little bit, but
yeah, I didn't either. But also, like, I messaged you guys about this. Like, I am not good at paying attention to things like that. So like, I definitely missed bits and pieces of things by just getting distracted, like, by something shiny on the ground or what have you.
And we'll just real quick go into the final reveal of the very last episode. Did you guys think at all during the whole series that she was an alien?
No.
That's one of the things that blows my mind. Like that's what really pulls me into, is just like, holy crap, that was like nothing that I even thought about.
Yeah, it worked really well too, because, at least in my opinion, because up until then, there are several sections where she's monologuing and there aren't other people around to listen. And she is still monologuing as this sort of like uncertain person. So it was interesting to like be at the end and be like, oh yeah, no, like this person's actually dead. I've just assumed their form.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we were just testing you, and this podcast has just been a way for me to send back my findings.
Anything you have to say about that, Jordan?
That's kind of where that whole show fell apart for me. That was like, oh, okay, really? Why that? Why? Like,
Why what though? Why having her be the alien? Why having the aliens?
why having the aliens be there at all? Like, I don't know. Almost felt like it would have been better left on just kind of a, hey, we thought we figured it out and we kind of saved humanity. Story's over. Like, it felt pointless for her to be the alien.
I mean, I definitely can't agree with you on that. Like, I like that they had her as the alien because, like they said, like, they needed someone to report back what was going on, and if it wasn't her being there, the aliens wouldn't have known, and the aliens were the ones that were slowly making the push every couple of generations to have them look at them. The whole reason for her being there was to tell the aliens the humans' progress on the message. And it's just like, to me, it wouldn't have hurt the podcast to not have her be the alien. It wouldn't have hurt the podcast if they ended it as she signed off the first time. But having her be the alien and throwing that in there to be like, look, the reason this nobody who dropped out of school was really good at hacking into things is because she's a life form that has lived for at least 100 years. That's why she was able to do all this. Like, it would have left too many holes in it prior to, again, she was a linguistics major. Like, how was she able to actually falsify those documents that well?
But she didn't falsify anything. She hired people, or at least, that was the explanation in the show, was she got other people to make this fake website for her, to funnel the shit, to make it look like, oh, here's this person that...
Did she say that as an alien, or did she say that as herself?
I thought one of the other people said it.
One of the other people said it, but they never explained, like, who she got to do all, like, it could have been that she hired somebody else to do it, or it could have been somebody else she got to do it were other aliens.
Maybe. I don't know.
Even take that idea out of it. I thought the fact that this was we didn't actually say what the story was. The government basically has a recording of a sound that they think is extraterrestrial in origin because they got it from space. And over the years, multiple groups of scientists have tried to discern what this audio is, and some people involved with it have died.
Yeah.
So the way this plays out is they record this as a podcast now and send it out to the masses, and then mass amounts of people begin getting sick and dying from hearing this audio file. So what I thought was actually interesting about the whole alien twist with the main person recording it wasn't that, like, she hired people or did it herself or whatever, but that she was involved with every group that has tried to figure out the origin of this audio for the last 80 years or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the thing where, like, when the FBI director or whatever she was, like, goes, like, and you have been here every time we've investigated this. I thought that was actually the interesting part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, she plays along the whole time, but purposely doesn't give them the actual answers.
And because it's not just about, like, her documents about, what's it called? School and things. It's the government documents she fudged to say that the people who died from listening to the message died of different causes. Because, Cobb, you had mentioned something that I have to call out to. It's not some people who listened to the message died. Everyone who listened to the message had died from the same disease.
Was she the one that changed the records?
She's the one who changed the records. If not her, the aliens changed the record. They went in to change the records. Otherwise, because she said, if I hadn't changed these records, or if they hadn't been changed, and you saw that everyone died of the same disease, you would not have accepted this, and we would not have moved forward. She did it. She changed the physical copies, or altered the physical copies, so that they would show that they died of different various reasons and not of the same, what is it? PO1, I believe is what.
Wait, did every one of the people on the podcast get sick?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they all had, by the end of the podcast, they all had the bubble injections in their brains. And they had all started getting sick at some point. That's why there was, at one point, they even urged her to get them, the alien girl, I can't remember her name, they urged her to get them because, like, you're going to be listening to it a lot at the end of this episode. Like, get the bubbles. And she never got the bubbles. But, like, the cool thing, and this is something that you take if you listen to Life After, or, Afterlife After, like, the technology for the message is legitimate technology that GE is working with. Like, they had developed technology like that. And so, I guess it was their way of showing, like, here's the ultrasound technology we've been working with. Here's, like, a medium that we could show it off in. But we can move on from the message unless you guys have any other things to say about it.
No, like I said, I thought it was nice because they were nice short episodes, like 10 to 15 minutes. There were, 8 of them, I want to say?
Yeah. It was probably an hour and a half tops.
Mm-hmm. No, it was definitely under 2 hours. Like because they were nice and short, it was easy to like listen to them. And even though I listened to most of them pretty close together, like I was able to like just end at an episode to do something else to then listen to the next one. Like I wasn't like pausing in the middle of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So any last thoughts, Drootin, for the message?
Nah.
I've like I've said, I've talked about these at least once now, twice or 3 times on this podcast. It's definitely to me that's the better part of the two. But Life After is a different story. It takes place in the same universe and is about a guy who lost his wife in a fatal car accident 8 months prior, just dealing with life and grieving while everyone's trying to push him to move forward with his life. And he then gets contacted by his wife through his cell phone, through this program now known as Life After.
Well, even before that, he was basically spiraling, listening to basically voice blogs from, I forget the name of the app that's there.
Voice Tree is what it's called.
Voice Tree, and it's like this, like it's basically Facebook, but it's all audio.
Yeah.
So people just like record like short little audio messages and post them on there.
Mm-hmm. And for me, like it's good. I listen to this one because it's good. It is well done narratively, and voice acting isn't bad. Like it is an enjoyable listen. I do enjoy the little nod to the message about halfway through.
I did like that too. I forget exactly what they said, but it was basically like they basically made reference to the people getting sick like prior to this.
Yeah. So there's a point later on where like a signal is being broadcast, and McLeod asks, "Are we going to get that weird alien breathing disease?"
Yeah. Right.
But I like the delivery style, because one thing Cobb you had said is like it's less of it's just delivered as a podcast. It's delivered as an audio update where anytime he's talking, you are you're Charlie in the phone at the end of the podcast. Anytime he's narrating the podcast when it's just him talking to you, it's him talking to Charlie and you're Charlie.
Oh yeah, but like any other time where you hear everybody else and it's like actually like the narrative, let's call it, it just felt a little weird. Just because that's not a thing that I go and listen. Like I don't listen to narrative podcasts, so having people just acting it was weird for me.
Yeah. But any opening thoughts on it before we get have any like honorable mention or not honorable moments in it and whatnot?
I don't know. No. I thought I liked this a little more because I felt like the way it was produced was better. I liked the audio drama that it was, and it felt a little more like plausible.
Yeah,
like the message, just nothing about any of that hit with me. This at least I could get on board with what these people were going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this one did a good job of sort of taking a real life situation that somebody could be in, and then wrapping that science fiction-ness around it.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't expect it to go the way it did. Like, I didn't expect it to sort of like... I knew at the end that like he was setting up something. Like, I didn't think he was just going full their side.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't expect it to end where it's like, oh no, the wife just found out that like the whole thing was like a sham and like faked her own death and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did not expect that.
Yeah. And that's the other, like, that is the alien reveal at the end. Like, him explaining that, like, he saw someone at the barn at the very end. And it's like, if he hadn't seen that person, he wouldn't have suspected anything. But because he saw that person, then the whole ending, the whole alien reveal happened. it's not aliens in this one. But essentially what happens is he has contacted his dead wife's voice tree disappears, and he calls voice tree to get it reestablished, and argues with them. By the time he's off the phone, it's reestablished. And later that night, Charlie, his wife, talks to him through Life After. He then gets, because he works for the social media department in the FBI. He gets pulled into some just serious double, triple spy action going on, where the FBI is looking into embezzlement cases and fraud cases, all through dummy companies owned by Lifetree or VoiceTree and Life After. And they're just trying to figure out essentially what they see this group as terrorists, what they're going to do. And it turns into the fact that this Life After AI, known as Sasha, is, what do they call it? Like a combination between a super AI and a thin AI? Where
it's something like that. It's basically like it can only work to achieve its goal.
It has
but
one
it
function.
has the capability of finding ways to achieve its goal.
Yeah. And so it ends up basically creating the signal using essentially the message technology and ultrasound and sound wave technology to basically control people, to relieve them of their lives, to let them kind of upload themselves to the cloud so that they can be with a digital version of their past loved ones, while Sasha essentially controls these people as they live the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
As basically shells of people.
Yeah, somehow she develops the ability of the technology in his phone to be able to listen and see everything, even if it's shut off and hidden away. It can still see and hear everything.
Yeah, because I think the way that the one scientist explains AIs, at least in that universe, is your base level AI, it can only do its task. It is only smart enough to finish a task that it is given. Whereas the highest end AI has a level of consciousness to it that it can tell when something is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do in a way, so that it knows okay, well, in order to complete this thing, I could kill this person, but killing this person is wrong, so I have to go the long way around. And this AI has some sort of combination of the two, where it can come up with the ways to do the thing, but it doesn't have the conscious part of it to tell it this is wrong. So whether they have to kill or maim something to get to its end goal, which is saving humanity or something weird like that, it will do whatever it needs to do.
Yeah, so the four types of AI are narrow intelligence, general intelligence, super. And Life After itself was a combination of narrow and super, where it has that one task, the task of helping humanity and help the bereaved, but it has the ability to do what more than anybody else. It has the reach to get whatever it can to do its one job.
Yeah. Did you just look that up?
Yeah, I looked up the three types of AI. It just the way they tell this story, the noir-esque style, and how you're listening to everything, you don't get to see it. So you are kind of in the dark when he writes down his friend's address, and you don't expect that right away. Or the fact that you're only there when not only when the phone is open, because there's times where he doesn't have his phone that you're there, but they only tell you as much as they tell Sasha, which is to me a really cool point of view.
It was very heist movie where you don't see you only see it from one angle, but if you were to turn it slightly, you'd see that a bunch of other things were actually going on there too.
Yeah.
That was actually a cool way to do it. I think the thing that got me was these episodes were significantly longer. They were all at least a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of them. And honestly, within the first 2 or 3 episodes, I was not really enjoying this one much at all. So it was kind of a slog to get through the first hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of it.
Yeah.
And then it started to pick up a little bit more, and I became a little more interested in it. And then, like, by the end, I'm like, okay, no, this was actually, like, this was interesting by the end.
Yeah. I agree. Like, when I started listening to the, Life After before this was Friday, maybe, and I didn't have a lot of work on Friday. So there were times where I was just sitting there listening, and I'm kind of bored. Like, I want to do something, but I want to listen. And then I drove to the shore on Monday, and I listened to the drive down and back and finished it off. I was like, all right, at least I needed to do something while listening, because at least early on it's kind of slow and not much going on. And then, like, later on there's just a lot that you kind of need to, like, I wasn't too focused to be able to drive, but, like, I was listening and intently and knew to know what was going on.
Yeah, which I was a little bit lucky in the sense that the day that I listened to this was the second day I was out doing that survey last week or the week before. I guess 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
So I was literally just walking around a school campus by myself, just clicking on my laptop. So, like, I had 6 hours to literally do nothing. And it's not like there was anything else to really, like, distract me. So I did have it on, like, most of the time I was doing that.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, I wasn't driving or working in any, like, way that needed, like, concentration.
I'm trying to think. How did you guys feel about the, I can't remember his name, the handler's, lost loved one? It always makes me sad to think of that guy.
Yeah, that it was his dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was actually heartbreaking. That was the only thing that I actually thought was sad. Everybody else is just like, no, just get over your shit. Like, oh man, his dog died and he's this upset? That's a shame.
Yeah. Anytime I'm just like, oh, like, I always feel bad for that guy. I'm like, he just wants his dog back. That's so sad. But yeah, and then the whole, I will get to the end, and if you guys have any final thoughts, we can talk about them. But the whole, show wraps up with, like, essentially the main character becoming a double, triple, quadruple spy. Like one of those, like, sitcom, they know that we know that they know that we know that they know that we know, or a spy type of thing going on. It's just, like, so convoluted that, like, they end up, the whole big, plan for Life After was to, like, I think it was, like, 3,000 people or something like that, to turn them into, quote, angels, and to have Sasha take over their bodies and everything. Or it might have been 200 people. It might not have been 3,000. I can't remember.
It was a lot of people either way.
It was a lot of people no matter what. And so they do this whole heist where he's being tracked by his old wedding ring, and like, they come into the barn, they stop, they create a counter signal to stop them from ascending into the cloud, and the feds, like, barge in, and the main character, he starts to get, like, knocked out because he was beaten up a lot, and he sees somebody's face. And he's like, I need to talk to that man before he goes down. The next thing you hear, he's talking, or he goes to work to pack up his stuff because he's no longer welcome there, because he did expose some sensitive material before he was working for him, or along with them. That he had a promise from the FBI to get a copy of Life After and a copy of his wife Charlie on his phone. So he gets that, and at the end of it, he is talking to Charlie after they had arrived somewhere, and he's explaining to her everything that's going on, and that they are at at Charlie's mom's old house that she sold after Charlie had passed away. And the person he needed to talk to at the barn was the doctor, the dentist, who confirmed that it was Charlie through her teeth, through her dental record. And from seeing that, he was like, this doesn't add up. He found out or that a dummy company bought Charlie's parents' house. He goes to Charlie's parents' house, throws his phone into the koi pond, knocks on the door, and Charlie, his actual wife who's been dead for 8 months, answers the door. And it's just like that, to me, I'm like, wow, that's like, it kind of, again, it's that, the alien reveal moment. And like, it kind of, I'm like, oh man, that's, wow, like, this AI thought that far ahead to get connected with this FBI agent. It found out who it needed to get in contact with by getting in contact with Charlie to set all of this up to try to save itself so it could always do what it wants to. And it's just like, to me, that's like some great writing.
And actually, I hadn't really thought about it like that like the AI had really, like, planned all that out, like, ahead of time.
Yeah, I think they even mentioned it during like the end. Like Sasha had to get as close as she could to Ross in order to know, because Ross is a no one. He is a nobody. So why not get close to a nobody? And so she needed to get close to Ross, and in order to get close to Ross, she threw all of her posts on Lifetree, found Charlie, and told her, like, give us time. I'm working on the ability to record video and recreate a voice. But once I can do that,
yeah.
Because that was Charlie's goal, was to recreate her sister's voice, who died as, I think she was 8 years old.
Yeah, like when they were very young kids.
Yeah, I think it was like 15, 18 years ago or something like that. But yeah, it's just, it's so good. And if you listen to Afterlife After, they give you a little bit of extra insight on it. Like, it's not a lot, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is a good scientific interviewer as well as just talk show host.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an entertaining episode to begin with. But like it helps you dive deeper into like the technologies behind these that GE was working on, which we already know deepfakes are real, so we know that Life After is basically and like the ultrasound technology from The Message.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it was I mean, yeah, these are some of my favorite things to listen to. I've been meaning, because I'm behind on the Wolverine podcast, audio drama podcast, and a bunch of other audio dramas. Well, not a bunch of others. There's not really that many others that I have left to listen. But these are just they're so entertaining to me. That yeah, I just can't help but listen to them, and I wanted you guys to know this kind of podcast I really like.
Yeah, and it, like, I would have never like listened to this on my own. Just like it's just not a thing that I go looking for. But like they were well done. Like, all the voice acting was good. Some of the especially in the second one, some of the voice actors in Life After sounded very familiar. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I've heard them on other things before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure. Again, I've tried Googling these podcasts, and there's nothing on the internet about them. So even if you go to GE's like website, they don't have anything listed about them. If you
the only thing you can find is like there's the podcast pages themselves.
Yeah, so like you can't really look up the IMDb for these podcasts or to look up who really did. But yeah, that's Life After and The Message. I hope the viewers, if any of you stuck with us and listened to it with us, I hope you guys enjoyed it. You can certainly message us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and tell us what you thought about it, or even email us. It's your choice. But coming up next, Drootin, what do we got for book club?
We're gonna watch AEW All Out 2019. It was their second pay-per-view where they crowned their first champion in company history after having started in May of 2019. I think is when they kind of really kicked off with Double or Nothing. And yeah, it's on you. They have the whole show up on YouTube, on like their official YouTube, so it's not like some pirated weird thing up on.
and just quick question: how long is it? It's not like 17 hours, is it?
No, it's like just under 4. I think it is like 3 hours and 51 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's about what it was. 'Cause I think it was like almost 2 hour.
It's like
videos.
203 and 148 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And as of right now, we would talk about it would we talk about it the week of the 1st? Yeah, which would be, a month from now would be the 1st of September. But, I think we, as the three of us, can discuss, do we want to do 30 days, or do we want to move it forward? And we can throw the question out to any listeners. Would you guys want us to do these book clubs more often? Instead of every once a month, do we want it every 2 weeks or something?
So I think at least with something like this, where it is only about 3.5, 4 hours, I think 2 weeks is enough time. Like, I can find 4 hours over the next 2 weeks to listen or to watch this.
Yeah. So if you're saying have us listen to it by the 18th, I could watch it on the 8th. I could probably watch it on the 15th. Like, I have time between the next 2 weeks to watch.
Drew, you've probably watched it like 6 times already.
I've only I actually think I've only watched it all the way through once, honestly.
Okay. But hey, it's on YouTube, so we can turn up the speed to like double time.
That's true.
I've been
just
watching Critical Role at 1.25 speed past couple.
it like that little bit of extra speed makes a difference.
It does.
It doesn't always work. Like some stuff just doesn't sound right when you speed it up, but
It's mostly, at least for Critical Role, it's for combat only. Like, if it's them doing RP stuff, or, like, if they're, like, role-playing and dropping story lore and such, it's normal speed. But if they get into a combat, or maybe they have a shopping episode, I'll put it into 1.25 speed, just to, like, speed. Even, like, combat will be 1.5 speed. Because you don't really need to get the full effect of combat unless somebody dies.
yeah, and honestly, like I listen to a lot of podcasts in 1.5 speed. Because it's fast enough that it makes like a 3-hour podcast only like an hour and a half or whatever. But it's not so fast that it's hard to understand anybody.
Yeah.
And I've actually found that when I put it back to regular speed in a lot of circumstances, it just sounds like everyone's talking at just a snail's pace. It's awful. Yeah. My favorite so far has been Firescape Cast at 1.5 times. They just started doing video. So they just started doing video. And between hearing and seeing Mary at 1.5 speed, it's hilarious. She looks fucking manic because like she moves her hands a whole bunch, and she already talks a little bit faster than the other two guys. So it's just like Dan and Mike sound relatively normal, and then Mary just sounds like she's on fucking crack the whole show.
But yeah, we'll watch AEW 2019 pay-per-view by I guess the 18th. If I will say though, if the listeners do chime in and say that they'd rather us do it once a month, we'll go back to once a month after this, but we'll stick to 2 weeks right now and see how it works.
Yeah, and we can always we can adjust for the things too, you know.
Yeah.
If like I think 3.5-4 hours is easy enough to do in 2 weeks, but if like one of us ever goes like, oh, we should watch like the first season of this show, it's like, all right, well maybe we need a month to do that.
Yeah.
Like. Mm-hmm. That's enough time that, like, we don't want to force ourselves into doing something over 2 weeks that maybe, like, is just going to make us not like that thing because it feels like a chore. Yeah. And we don't want it to be a chore.
Right.
I don't know. You're asking me to watch wrestling. It already feels like...
I mean, it's going to be.
Don't worry. Don't worry. My next choice is Shin Godzilla. Fuck you guys.
Is it free?
I'll buy it for you, okay?
Okay. Also, fuck you. I'd rather watch wrestling. I'm just throwing that out there.
At least in the wrestling happens.
Shin Godzilla is the best Godzilla since the original Godzilla.
And that's the most recent Japanese one, right?
Yeah, that was the most recent one that's on Funimation. I think it's actually, you might be able to watch it there.
Let's find out real quick. But is AEW the one where Kenny Omega is?
Yes.
Is he in this pay-per-view?
Yes.
Okay.
I will say I'm glad you chose AEW because you probably knew I would not watch WWE.
Well, also there is no... Well, I guess WWE has a number of, like, Royal Rumble matches up online, but I don't think there's anywhere to watch a whole WWE pay-per-view for free.
Yeah.
Without, like, subscribing to the network?
Yeah. Like that you guys have right now. Like, I have Peacock, I could have... And all of them are there, but...
You could just give us your logins.
I mean, I guess I could.
Honestly, what I plan on doing if I do Shin Godzilla next is, hey guys, I'm renting it this weekend. You have to watch it this week.
So Shin Godzilla is not available on Funimation. It is an item on there. It looks like it may have been there at some point. Yeah. But it is no longer there.
It's distributed by Funimation, so I figured it might have it.
It definitely looks like it was available there at one point because their website's pretty bad, and it basically has a watch this now button that just takes you to a video page that said this video is not available.
Yeah.
All right, it's a $3 rent or a $4 rental.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to spend $1 million.
Again, I would rather watch wrestling.
But I think that sounds to be a show, right?
Yeah. I think that is a show. If you'd like to find more of our shows and such, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest, where you can help pick content for the show if you wanted, potentially.
Yeah.
Or get access to upcoming shows early, or in large lump sums, for instance. If you can't support us there with dollars, though, you can go over to your favorite podcasting platforms. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all those fun places. Our shows are available. Just search for OneQuest or PodQuest. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/OneQuestOnline or at @1_Quest on Twitter and Instagram. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/OneQuestVideo, and you can send us emails to social@one-quest.com. Otherwise, we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you.
Bye.